Hello and welcome to Artifacts, the monthly show on City Cable 34 in which we talk about the arts in Minneapolis. Later on we're going to be talking with Cyd McEwens-Haynes, who is the current chair of the Minneapolis Arts Commission. But first I've got two lively guests here. We've got Sue Dickhausen from the Downtown Council and D.L. Mabery from the Skyway News. D.L., you are the arts editor, as I understand it.
Yes.
And you, one of the goals on this show is to have anybody that's related to any medium called Artifacts on the show. And D.L. edits the Artifacts
section, yes.
section of the Skyway News. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Sue, you are the Special Events Coordinator?
That's right.
That's your title over at the Downtown Council.
Sure is.
Now, as we were getting ready for the show, somebody said to me, what exactly is the Downtown Council? So let's start with that. What is the Downtown Council?
Well, back in 1955, the Downtown Council was created because General Mills moved out to the suburbs, and across the country, a lot of people were getting nervous that big downtowns, people were moving out to the suburbs and what was going to happen. So downtown councils were formed around the country at about that time, and it's really to manage, promote, and develop downtown. Okay. And I'm in the promotion part of it.
Right, and I know that the Downtown Council has been very active all these years, I would assume, in special events and what I would think of as cultural kinds of activities downtown, and you get to be part of that planning.
Yeah, it's really to keep downtown alive, to keep people downtown after work, or to get people from the suburbs to come downtown and see how great it is, and for visitors too, to help them enjoy it while they're
Well, that's
here.
right. We have probably as many visitors as we do residents that come into downtown.
Oh, especially now at the conventions. Yeah.
Well, what are historically, if you can, and I know you haven't been there since 1955, but what kinds of things has the Downtown Council done over the years? I know Alive After 5 comes to mind.
Yeah, we're actually in our 8th annual Alive After 5 coming up in June. We can talk about that later. But
Which has never been rained out, I also understand.
That's right. Yeah, those are concerts at PV Plaza every Thursday in June from 5 to 8. And that's great because right after work you can just go down there, listen to free music, buy beverages and food, and hang out and meet some people.
That's great.
And actually we're expanding it into August this year.
So it'll be a number of months over the summer.
June, every Thursday in June, and then the last 3 Thursdays after Summerfest in August.
Well, that's great. So you coordinate with that with other activities down there. So Summerfest comes up, which is highly popular, again, down on PV Plaza.
Yeah, we just want to keep, it as lively as we can down there.
That's great. Yeah. What other things throughout the year do you work on? I know there's a Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Yep. Probably for the past couple of years we've had a Thanksgiving Day Parade on Thanksgiving, and before that it was the day after, and now we're toying maybe going back to the day after. But that's been a really popular thing, to have the family come down after dinner, free parade, and Salvation Army's there, and all these different characters, and that's really nice for the families.
Well, that's great. I want to get back to some specific things, such as what you've got going in next month in June with the Downtown Council. But I want to get a couple questions over to D.L. What is it you do at Skyway News? Now, let me preface by saying that a lot of folks in the arts feel that magazine, which I've got a copy of here, is quite supportive and gets into some of the issues that deal with the arts and culture. What exactly is your role as arts editor of Skyway News?
Well, we have just launched last month a new section of the paper. It's called Review. And it's kind of an odd name, but we are taking the tact where we preview what's going to be happening in the week that we're on the stands in the arts. And so as opposed to always doing, like, say, a theater review or something like that, we do the behind-the-scenes stories of what's going to be your entertainment options for this week. So I believe that we're quite supportive of particularly the downtown arts. And
although I've noticed you do sometimes touch out into arts that are going on around town. And
exactly.
Certainly even into St. Paul sometimes, too.
With our base, of course, is the downtown readers, be that people who work downtown or live downtown. If you work downtown, you obviously live someplace else, and I believe that most of the people in the Twin Cities travel for the entertainment options. So yes, we do cover things that are out in the suburbs.
That's right, and of course the suburban audiences are coming into downtown as well to take part in activities that you report on and that Sue's involved in. So, quick figure, what's the circulation of Skyway News?
Oh, you would ask me that.
Rough figure,
rough figure.
More than 100, less than a million.
Bigger than a bread box, smaller than a house.
Okay.
I think it is 90,000.
Okay, so somewhere up around 100,000,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that would be considered, for a marketing expert, a qualified market. I mean, these are people who know the area, employed in the area, and probably has some disposable income.
Yeah.
So that sounds good. What kind of things are you covering right now? What's new on the horizon? What's happening in the downtown area that?
Well, I think that there's two really interesting developments happening in downtown. Mississippi Live, which is taking over in River Place, is opening up 5 nightclubs there, a few restaurants. What that is doing, I believe, is challenging the nightlife that's available in the warehouse district. I don't think it's going to be a situation where one wins and the other one loses, but typically I think most people, when they come into downtown Minneapolis now, think of the warehouse district as their option to go to for arts and entertainment. And now we have 2 places.
It's a good point. Yeah, downtown it raises the question of what does the umbrella cover in downtown, and you're both involved in that. Certainly in the retail, there's a core of that, a spine going up and down the Nicollet Mall, where I know you do a lot of your events. But the warehouse district's certainly very vital. The riverfront is increasingly active. I've been told that there are now enough spots that are putting on blues concerts that you could even organize a blues crawl in Minneapolis, of all places.
Yeah.
So, and comedy is alive and well, things like that. Well, Sue, back to you. What is the event you got coming up in June? You were talking about one specific thing.
Well, for the first time, we're going to have a car show on the mall, and actually it's going to be a classic car show called the Nicollet Mall Classic Car Show on Father's Day. So it will be June 21st from noon
You've got
to
something
5.
here you can hold up for us?
We'll have cars from the early 1900s all the way to 1969. And we're going to break them up into eras.
Yep.
And so we'll have, you know, the early cars, a couple of blocks of the mall, the 50s and 60s cars, maybe between 10th and 11th, and then the German cars in a section. And then we'll try to have music behind those cars.
That relate to the different eras?
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be
yes.
fun.
So we'll have the Rockin' Hollywoods down there, a Dixieland band, a big band era, something called the Kaleidoscope. So that will sit behind the older cars. So it will be a really nice thing to do on Father's Day.
Yeah.
Come down with your dad. And
Now, was this pegged because Dad probably likes cars?
I
Is
think
that
so.
part of the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else do you got
Caught
coming up
on.
later this summer?
Well, of course, the Block Party, 15th annual,
Yep,
and that
that's a
kicks
tradition
off
downtown.
Aquatennial. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, it's going to be on Hennepin again. I think that's its home forever, just because it's gotten so big we couldn't even fit it on the mall anymore.
Well, that gets back to the question about what is downtown. Now, it's my impression that a lot of folks think of downtown as the Nicollet Mall, unless they make that leap over into the warehouse district. But you do things, I know you've had some big tents, back with the, was it the NBA?
NCAA. tournament.
NCAA, that's right. Huge tent down on Block E around Hennepin.
Oh yeah.
So,
Well, Hennepin, we're trying to make it become more of a festive atmosphere,
Mhm.
and so the more events we can bring down there, the better. And I know the Hennepin Avenue Advisory Board loves when events come down there, and we actually had the farmers market down there for a few years.
okay. Oh, and that's
so-
another event that you have, Thursdays?
Thursdays
in
on the
warm
mall.
weather.
Yeah, yep. Starting this May 7th all the way through October.
So starting this month?
Mm-hmm.
Great. I know I've gone down there and picked up a few things of different kinds. down there.
Well, with the revitalization of Hennepin Avenue, you must be thrilled with the State Theater opening up and all the
Oh.
events that they're doing.
Yeah, and
there.
it is so beautiful. Yeah, and the Orpheum, the expansion.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
think that's really putting us on the map.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I understand, and I don't know what the dates are on this, but the State Theater is going to be showing classic movies now, and they have the largest screen in Minnesota that they can roll down that fills up the State Theater stage, and they're going to be showing Lawrence of Arabia
That's
sometime
right.
this month.
You know, that's going to be a treat to see films in the size that they originally created for. I mean, when you rent the video or you see it on the small
Mhm.
screen at home,
Yeah, it's not the
there's
same.
so many movies, certainly classic movies, that were never made to be seen
Mhm.
25 inches or even 50 inches.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, they're made for that.
And in fact, we have a whole generation of people who have never seen a lot of these movies off of a small
Right,
screen.
it's hard to imagine Gone with the Wind big if you've
Yeah.
never seen it other
Yeah.
than on
Yeah,
TV.
exactly.
Yeah, I want to ask you a professional question. You just mentioned something that I hadn't heard of going on in the state with the theaters. You're a reporter, you're an editor. How do you get your news? How do you stay in touch with what's going on?
From people such as yourself, actually. I just have a big Rolodex full of names. People call me with ideas. You go out to lunch with people in conversations, you hear these things. The thing about the state came up in a lunch conversation with
Okay.
somebody.
It's a lot of digging.
Yes, and just, it's a people business, and so you just gossip, basically.
Okay.
That's how you get this stuff.
And you have to have a little writing skill, I
Yes,
suppose.
and then, of course, then you have to follow up and find out if in fact it's true or if it was just a rumor. But,
Oh, so you do that before you print it?
Print, yes.
Okay. What's your background? How'd you get into editing and writing this sort of thing?
My background is that I always fancied myself as a great American writer and was pretty talentless until I got through college to study journalism because I realized I was never going to write fiction, actually. So have a degree in journalism, then have worked for a variety of papers, including most of the free papers here in the Twin Cities.
Mhm.
Moved here in 1981 from Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. What brought you here?
it's one of those really funny things that every third person I was meeting was from the Twin Cities, and I really liked the people, and so that I thought, well, I must like the cities, and I hated Los Angeles, so I thought I'd just try it out. So.
Time to leave and
Yeah.
get up here. And you
Yeah.
found a home in the milieu, the
Yeah.
cultural scene.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And so you've got a marketing background.
Yep, I went to college at St. Thomas and got a business marketing degree, and then I had a bunch of different internships with different media, KTCA and WCCO, and then came upon this job at the Downtown Council.
Okay, so you put your marketing into the effort to vitalize and get things going in downtown Minneapolis.
Exactly.
Where do you want to be in 5 years?
What a question. Well, I'd really like to probably get my grad degree and then still work in special events, just because it is so fun watching a project start from the beginning and watching it all the way through and bringing excitement to different people. So maybe in the corporate world, special events.
Okay, making it happen.
Yeah.
And one more question. We've got a couple minutes, I think, or maybe a minute. Are there any holes, anything missing in Minneapolis, anything that we need? I know we're well respected for the variety of things we've got, but if there was one thing you could dream about and wish for, what would you maybe want to see downtown Minneapolis have that we
May I
don't
jump
have?
into this one?
Sure.
Please do.
I would like to see a greater variety of entertainment options in the warehouse district. Not to sound prudish, but everything that is there right now are essentially restaurant and bars, and I think it'd be great if we had more theaters there. Theater de la Jeune Lune is going to open up a space
Not the
later
Allied
on this
Warehouse,
year.
yeah.
Yes, but it would be nice if there was, for instance, if Film in the Cities had a art house film theater there. It'd be nice if there was another comedy club. Right now, the only comedy club in the warehouse district is way over on 7th North and 1st Street, which is a long ways out.
That's up in the Itasca building.
Yes, yeah. Some kind of a cabaret, performing cabaret now that Ruby's has closed down, which is turning into a country and western bar, I understand. That has removed that option. My idea is that there needs to be something for people to go to entertainment-wise other than, say, Target Center's mega concerts in the warehouse district, so that you can go out and have an entire evening there. You can have dinner if you want, that you can go see a show, and you can go to a bar afterwards, or in any of those combinations.
Make
So,
it a rounded destination.
yeah, kind of balance out the arts a little bit
Yeah.
more. You know, we have a theater district over at Seven Corners area, but it'd be nice if some of those options came into the warehouse
A
area.
little more interplay that way.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, good answer. Thanks. I think we could go on about this, but our time's running out for this segment. I want to thank you, Sue.
Well, thank you.
We'll have you back. DL?
Thanks.
Keep up the good work. Have you
Yes.
back, too. Now, we'll be back in just a moment with Cyd McEwen-Haynes from the Arts Commission, but first, take a look at this interesting fact about the arts in Minneapolis. Welcome back to Artifacts. I hope you enjoyed that interesting factoid. I was a little amazed when I heard about that myself. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Cyd McEwen-Haynes, who wears a number of hats, and we're going to talk about all the roles that she plays in Minneapolis. She is the current chair of the Minneapolis Arts Commission, and she is, let me see if I get this right, the artistic director of the Lyric Theater.
One of them.
One of them, okay, and the managing director of Northern Sign Theater. I got all that right?
Yes,
You're a busy woman.
yes I am.
Great. And I want to touch on all the things that you're doing, but first, this show, Artifacts, is co-sponsored by the Minneapolis Arts Commission. And can you, for folks who maybe don't know, tell us what the heck is the Minneapolis Arts Commission, who's on it, and what do they do?
Well, the commission was first formed to ensure the cultural life of the citizens of Minneapolis a number of years ago, and it is made up of a body of commissioners who are representative from all wards of the city, and those commissioners are also representative of arts administrators, practicing artists, and laymen in the arts.
Okay, so you cover a lot of bases that way.
We try
And-
to,
And
yeah.
they're all volunteers.
Yes, every one of them.
Okay, and you have a staff.
We have 3 staff members, an executive secretary, David Hansen, and 2 staff members who run 2 of the programs that we have.
And I want to talk about those programs in a minute or two. But I want to talk a little bit about, because I know you more as an arts commissioner and as the chair this year. But I also know that you are one of the artistic directors of the Lyric Theater.
Yes.
And last month you staged Simon's Night, based on the works of John Hassler.
Yes, we had a very, very successful run. It was actually a remount because we did it the year before and had a sold-out performance and had to extend for a week, and a lot of people didn't get to see it. And John Hassler actually came to us and said, you know, if you'd like to do this again, I'd really like to do some rewriting on it, which we were very excited about. And we had a number of people calling saying, please do it again. We didn't get to see it the first time around, or please do it again. We'd like to see it again.
Well, congratulations.
We remounted it this year, and once again had sold out houses. It was
fantastic.
very gratifying
Is that
for us.
Common or typical in the theater world to have that kind of a relationship with an author?
In Minneapolis, I think it is. It doesn't always happen, but it's more common in Minneapolis than in other cities, simply because we have the Playwrights Center here in town. So we've got a lot of good playwrights living here in town. John Hassler is not a playwright, of course. He's a novelist, fiction writer, a teacher of writing. However, he did do this one script based on his book of called
So he did
Simon
the
Knight.
script
Yes,
for
he did.
the play?
He did. It was his first venture into dramatic writing. And it's really quite a charming play. It's a great book. It's a charming play. He did want to do the rewrites because it was his first theater piece. And he saw after our mounting of it that there were some things that he wanted to adjust and sort of bring out some different qualities in it. He did do some rewriting, and it came out very well. We're also planning to do another one of his pieces next year.
I was just going to ask,
Yeah.
so is this a scoop here? Hassler's going to do another?
This is a scoop.
with the Lyric Theater?
With the Lyric Theater. He's very excited about doing some of his pieces after what he saw us do with it. And he's really looking forward to doing Grand Opening, one of his novels he did a
Great.
couple of years back.
Great.
He's finished the first 25 pages of it.
Wow, so he's moving.
Yeah,
And he
is.
works, what, northern Minnesota?
He works at, I knew I'd forget this, St. Thomas?
Oh, is that right? Okay.
One of the
Okay. I had thought he was at St.
Catholic
Cloud or
university.
somewhere.
Oh, no.
Okay, that's my mistake.
He spent the summer in Scotland trying to finish up his last novel, and during that time sat down and looked at this other show and thought about it, and he said, yes, I would
Decided
like
to
to
do
do a play of this. And
Lyric
so-
Theater, what's the mission?
Their mission is really to bring to the stage pieces that have a lyrical quality. They tend to focus on giving directors and composers a chance to work together. So there's really an interior motive to the theater in having some artists be able to work together. And then the exterior motive for the outside world is really to bring to the stage those things that have a lyrical quality. We very often have live musicians involved, not always. Most of the time they are regular shows with some music in them as opposed to musicals. We've never really done an outright musical. Although some people think, lyric theater, we're going to go see a musical.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting mission. I wasn't aware of all of that. Let's jump over to Northern Sign Theater, of which you are the managing director. What is the purpose and mission of that particular theater?
Northern Sign really exists to bridge the cultural gap between the deaf community and the hearing community. And deaf culture is a very strong culture within itself, with its own language and behavioral skills and community happenings. We really want to serve as a catalyst between those two communities, and all of the productions that we do, all of the educational performances we do, all the touring performances that we do are done in English and in sign language at the same time.
Now, do you sign yourself?
I do a little bit.
Well, show us a little bit. Okay, that probably means something as clever as
It just
hello.
meant hello.
All right.
Sign language is a very complicated language with many nuances, and it's taken me quite a while to pick up the signs that I need just to be sort of conversational, just
Now,
as any other language
Has
would
your
be.
theater, has the company gotten involved in that debate that's currently raging, I know in educational circles, about the two forms of communication in the deaf community?
Yes. Actually, I shouldn't say the theater itself, because we try to stay very unpolitical, because we're really an arts organization that has a mission that takes all our time anyway. The people that are involved, and we have company members that have been with us 7, 8, 9, and 10 years, are very involved in that particular discussion, whether the public school systems and the teachers within that school system should be proficient in sign language if they're teaching deaf children or hearing impaired children.
Okay, but in your case, you do sign all of the shows that
Yes,
you
and we do
produce.
sign that in American Sign Language as opposed to signed English or any other cued signing that
Okay.
you would use.
Fascinating.
I
How long
guess-
have you been doing this job, the managing of that
I've been there
company?
for 3 years now.
3 years.
Yeah.
Well, I'm full of questions about those two companies, but I don't want to lose some time here about the Minneapolis Arts Commission. Now, you are the current chair, and what does that role entail? What do you have to do as chair?
It's really very much a leadership role. We have a number of committees that are very active, and it's a lot of overseeing to make sure that there's a overall vision for the commission and where it's going to be this year and also where it's going to be in the next couple of years. So it has some foresight
Right.
in the job.
Some future visioning.
Yes.
What are the committees and what are the big projects or issues you're working on?
Right now we have 2 standing committees. One of them is a policy and planning committee, which is really looking at, as the advisory body section of the commission, to really advise the city on what it should be doing policy-wise with the arts and culture for its citizens. And the other one is a programming committee, and it really oversees 2 different programs right now. One is the Neighborhood Arts Program. They have just funded last month 36 different neighborhood groups, passed out $35,000. And that was a matching situation where the city would give them $3 for every $1 they put in, and then they put in a proposal to do a certain artistic event of some kind, and they range.
And it's very grassroots oriented.
Very much so, and very much based in the neighborhoods. You know, there are dance projects, mural projects, music projects, just everything across the board.
And
It's
this
real.
includes professional artists, probably amateur artists sometimes, and youth and everybody.
And it's a really good chance for people in neighborhoods to be exposed to the arts for the first time, very often. And other times it's a chance for ethnic groups and other groups that don't necessarily get a lot of support to really be able to do their art and share their different ethnic heritages with each
So
other.
it validates some of those efforts that don't always get recognized
Yes,
elsewhere.
very much
That's
so.
good. Now, last summer we had as a guest one of your commissioners who talked about the then new round of the Neighborhood Arts program, and later this summer we're going to have somebody back to update us on that particular project.
Great.
Well, in a few words, maybe, unless you care to go on into some detail, what are some of the big issues that you as a commission, or perhaps the city of Minneapolis, that you're dealing with? What are some of the big things on the horizon here?
I think one of the most important things is really getting a clear commitment from the city about what it wants to do with culture, how much it values culture, how much it values the arts in its economic sense, in its intrinsic value sense. And the commission is really trying to figure out with the city what its commitment wants to be for the upcoming years.
Is that part of a trend or a change that's going on all over the country in terms of how the public relates to its art?
Sure,
or is
well-
it something unique to Minneapolis right now?
No, I think it's very, it's a national sort of debate, and we can see that with what's happened with the NEA lately.
Right, obviously the funding is being reevaluated all over across the board.
Yeah, and I think every time a piece of funding gets evaluated, we always end up back to, you know, how much do we value the arts? Where do we want to place the arts in our society? And at what level of importance? And in what relationship to the other things that we find important? Every time we talk about money, and usually it's connected in that way to everything else as well, social
right.
events and political issues.
Well, from where you sit as chair not only of the Arts Commission, but intimately involved with 2 producing arts organizations, what's your feeling about the health and the vitality of the arts in Minneapolis right now?
Well, the health of the theater specifically, but all arts organizations, is still, I would say, on the strong side. I've had a lot of experience with other arts organizations in other cities, and Minneapolis is still a leader. It's still that city that artists know they can go to and get some work, and or other audience members can go to and see some really on the edge, cutting edge leadership in the arts at the number of different arts
Various
organizations.
disciplines now, or are you specifically within the
No.
performing arts?
Various disciplines. I think the performing arts are very strong, but we have a lot of other disciplines that other cities don't have at all. And I think that it's still very strong only because the recession has been a little bit behind itself in the Midwest. I think that we're looking at a real crisis.
Now, you mentioned other cities. You come to the Twin Cities from
Dallas.
Dallas, Texas. How
Yeah.
recently are you here?
About 4 years ago.
4 years?
Right.
So as a relative newcomer, but obviously somebody who's plunged in and gotten rolled up her sleeves and made a lot of impact here, what's your impression? I mean, you're here, you're involved. What do you see that you like, and maybe what are some of the challenges that you'd like to see us all work on a little bit more?
I think the thing that I find most exciting is the fact that there's a lot of what I'm going to call entrepreneurship in the arts. People who go out and make things happen, that open their own companies, that start their own dance performances, because they know that this city is used to being culturally fed, is used to having experiences in the arts, and they understand what quality is to some extent. That's not always true in the rest of the world. I think Minneapolis definitely underestimates its cultural level. I mean, it's very easy, I think, to be out of perspective when you don't see what other cities have.
Maybe a little bit of taking it for granted.
Very much so.
Okay.
Very much so.
And in one word, we've got prolific arts. What's the level of quality here? We're doing good stuff out there?
I would say we have good quality because we have so much competition.
Okay.
Because there are so many artists here who are feeding each other and giving each other creative ideas, and we see, the culmination of all that creation in different companies.
So it's a
in
creative
different
tension.
formats.
It's
Very much so.
It's working to make things.
Yeah, and in other cities there are not as many artists involved. There's not as many artists who have voices and who are talking directly to the city, who are talking directly to the audience about what society needs to be looking at itself with.
Okay, great.
So.
Cyd, we're running out of time. I want to thank you for coming and talking. We'll keep in touch about the projects and the issues that the Arts Commission are dealing with.
Great.
Thanks for being on the show.
Sure.
Okay. Well, hope you enjoyed the show today. Some good comments from a variety of guests. If you have any questions about what you've heard or seen on today's show, you can call the City Cable 34 hotline, 673-2234, and leave a message. We'll get back to you with an answer to that. And tune in next month's show. We will have an expanded panel discussion about the arts in the media and the media coverage of the arts. We should have some lively discussion about that. And please stay tuned for a short calendar of some selected events going on in Minneapolis this month. We'll see you again.